Hello, Stuvians, and welcome to Stu's Views, a podcast, pod show, whatever you want to call it, where we talk about Doctor Who. This week we're talking about the brand new Jodie Whittaker in season 11 of Doctor Who. My name is Jason.
And I'm Ash.
And here we go.
So what we're going to be talking about today is all focused around the build-up, the actual episode itself, and the future of the series, at least our opinions of all of what was just mentioned. What we're going to start with is the build-up to the episode, the announcement of Jodie Whittaker as a Doctor, the promotion side of the sort of BBC and how they sort of led into the first episode, and maybe our thoughts on other people's thoughts. Maybe we should go with that. So, Jay, what was your initial thought process when Jodie Whittaker was announced as the next Doctor?
To be honest with you, a little bit of a little nervousness. I was a little nervous. I was a little afraid that they were gonna use this as an agenda, that they're going to be pushing an agenda about whatever agenda that is. A lot of people were feeling that way. At the end, though, I felt that, as a Whovian, the people that really are Whovians would pull through and they would watch it and then they would love it anyway. I really felt like it was going to do really good in the long run, despite the toxicity of the fan base at the time. What did you think?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about this quite a lot, sort of when she was initially announced, but as you are aware, I was incredibly unhappy when it was first announced. Maybe the subconscious in me was being a little bit sexist at the time because the Doctor had been a male for so long, and it was a huge change. But I think a big part of it was what you just mentioned, was I felt like it was almost a bit of an agenda, like it was done for that reason, not because necessarily that she would be best for the part, but because it's
right
2018, it's 2018, it's the way things are. Yeah, but I have seen Jodie in a few things prior, and I think she is a very good actor. So I did grow to the idea. Once the announcement had died down, and I thought about it a little bit and stopped being a bit pig-headed, maybe, and actually thought about it rationally, I thought it could be interesting, to say the least. So yeah. Yeah, I mean, there was, like I said, I was unfortunately one of those toxic people to begin with. Not sort of over the internet, but my general thought process, talking to friends and family, I was like, quite displeased to begin with, to say the least. But
yeah, I got the impression you're like, I don't care. It is what it is. Whatever happens.
Yeah.
You weren't overly enthusiastic about it, and me, I'm optimistic. Like, I don't want to see Doctor Who. I don't want to see Doctor Who fail, especially not because of toxic elements in the fan base.
Of course not.
I was talking to a mutual friend of ours this past weekend about like things in the fan base from like Star Wars and Doctor Who, and how a lot of the fan base can actually destroy a series. And this whole Jodie Whittaker thing, this whole Jodie Whittaker thing was there was a lot of toxicity in the audience, to the point where I wouldn't even want to post up things on the Dr. Stu page about Jodie because of the toxic responses I would get from a lot of people. Now, don't get me wrong, you'd have the positive responses too, but then you just have a lot of back and forth and people telling you what they think and how you're wrong for thinking that there could even be a chance that this would work, and just back and forth. And at the end of the day, people were like, I'm never going to watch it again. And I felt that was the wrong approach. Give her a chance and see how she's going to work out. And you know what, to be honest, going into the next thing, she is awesome. Like, she really jumped in, or fell in, we should say here, right? She fell into this role and she owned it, man. She just took it. Like, within 30 seconds, I was like, oh my gosh, that's the Doctor. She is the Doctor. She seems to almost have a little bit of, I would say, a lot of Tennant. We know that she's worked with David Tennant before. But she kind of has like a little bit of them all. I see a little bit of quirkiness from Matt Smith, a little bit of commanding presence from Capaldi. It seems like she's really done her research on this.
I did see a few comparisons to Tom Baker, which I found quite interesting.
To who? To Baker?
To Tom Baker. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I did see a few people mention that. Yeah.
A little bit quirky. The quirky aspect of it.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
I can see that.
But okay. Well, since you've already sort of started on that process, let's go into that. Sort of, what are your overall thoughts about Jodie as the Doctor now? Now you've seen an episode and her general presence in the first episode and how she owned the role. Like, what's your general consensus? I mean, I know you've already shown the sort of a positivity to it, but do you want to elaborate anymore?
I'll elaborate. I think that she is, like I said, within 30 seconds, she was the Doctor. She had that commanding presence. She had that quirkiness. She had that alien feel to her, but she wasn't like overly alien. Like, it almost kind of weirded me out with Matt Smith a little bit. It was kind of jarring. This didn't quite feel as jarring. Maybe I'm just getting used to the regeneration thing, but to me, I just felt like she just stepped right into it or fell into it. And she just really took it on and didn't have to really work hard to say, hey, I'm the Doctor. We didn't have that whole big, rooftop dramatic pause thing. I'm not knocking Matt because I love Matt. Don't get me wrong, guys. But she didn't have that rooftop scene where she's like, hello, I'm the Doctor. She didn't need that. She just was. She came in. She said, I am here. This is me. This is what I'm doing. And I believed it. I fell into it. What were your thoughts on Jodie?
Pleasantly surprised. Pleasantly surprised. Sorry. Yeah. As I said before, like particularly I didn't mention this previously. What I was saying, the big sort of the build up of the promotion side into this episode, I started to go where I was growing into the idea of Jodie. I was declining quite rapidly with the leading promotion into the episode within the last 2 weeks with the trailers.
It's about time.
That was, I found that quite cringe-worthy, especially with the music in the trailer and stuff. It didn't seem very Who. Some of the sort of the lines they were quoting it just seemed like it was very the agenda again. It felt like it was more about the agenda and less about a character. But anyway, sort of going sort of into this, so my expectations were not high at all when I went to watch this episode, and I was exactly the same as you. As soon as she crashed through that train and popped up and looked and went, what? Like it was nothing. It was great. I thought, and then, and one thing, and I said this to you earlier today, my biggest thing that I loved about Jodie was the fact that she took control all the way through this episode. She was like, you do this, you do that, and I'll do this. I love that. I thought that's what the Doctor should be. It should be, I'm the Doctor, I am the focus, I know more than you do, therefore we will take my role in this, and you can help me if you want to, sort of thing. And
you mentioned earlier you didn't like that, kind of like where the Doctor didn't know kind of what he should do or what should happen next.
I mean, like I said, that's it. Even with the fact that she had those moments in this where she didn't know what the plan was, but her iconic line, she kept saying, "It'll be fine. It'll be fine." Another thing that I loved. Bleep that bit. Loved, absolutely adored about her was that my head is all over the place, but it'll be fine. It'll be fine. It always is. It'll be fine. And I thought that was great. I really loved that. I thought it was brilliant.
Yeah.
So yeah. But also like I said, very commanding. I kind of liked this sort of memory of who she was, or at least her characteristics, but not knowing exactly who she is, and then sort of the whole true to evolve speech that she had with the villain
30 minutes ago. I was great Scotsman. I like that.
Yeah, yeah. That's it. Yeah,
Kind of see
and
things coming together.
even
Things are snapping together.
that's it. Even the silly things like where she's like, "It's on the tip of my." What's that? The sort of that was the quirkiness of like Matt Smith's like legs. I've still got legs. It had that there, and considering I would say I agree with you with the whole screams a lot of Tennant, which you would think I wouldn't like her as much because I'm not a big fan of David Tennant's Doctor. Sorry, people, but I'll go into that another time. I'm not going to go into that, but. I liked it. I liked her. I did. I liked her a lot, and she. I agree with you. She fits in the role well.
What did you think of the companions? Let's talk about Ryan.
You want to talk about the companion? Yeah, Ryan. Okay, yeah. Well, overall, let me sort of go on an overall, and then I'll sort of go a little bit more specific. The companions in general, I thought worked well. There wasn't a huge amount to the fleshing out of the characters, but we'll go into that in a little while. But with the time that they had, they did do it fairly well. Every companion had a little bit of explanation of who they are as characters. With Ryan, it was established that he has dyspraxia, so his goal, sort of, as he mentioned a few times, was he wanted to learn how to ride a bike, and from what I understand, at least of dyspraxia, it's the sort of problems with coordination in tasks that people maybe would consider a little bit more simple, and it's that strive to conquer that, that shows a sort of a big characteristic in him. And the same with Yasmin's character, being a police officer, saying to her superior, I want more, I want to do more, and they're like, you're not ready. So a bit of an aspect of running before she can walk, which is always a good part for character development.
Right.
And then you've got Nan and Fake Grandad. You've got Bradley Walsh, Fake Grandad. I wasn't overly as keen to begin with because he was very much there's no such thing as aliens. I'm the generic person that's kind of in the background. But then when I watched further, I was like, no, this is character development. This is something for him to evolve, especially with, the bit with Nan later on, which we'll get to in a minute. A chance for him to become a stronger character, take charge, I thought that was good as well. But yeah, enough about my thoughts. What did you think?
I felt the characters... I felt that Chibnall is going to put a lot of focus on the companions this season as well. But I don't think it's going to be kind of in the same light that Stephen Moffat did it. I think Stephen Moffat made it very companion-centric. He did, yeah. The thing with Clara, you know what I mean? The thing with Amy, it felt like it was very... They were the heroes, and the Doctor was just kind of flying along with them for a lot of it. The Doctor was brilliant, but I think that
he was
the
crafting of their story, sort of thing, almost.
Exactly. I think Chibnall's going to keep it. The Doctor is going to be your girl. She's going to save the day, and she knows what's up, and you're going to listen. But y'all are going to have some growth too, and you're going to grow along with her. And that's I think a nice. If it works out that way, which is what I'm seeing in the writing, I think that's going to be a nice step backwards towards the best things about the Russell T Davies area. There were bad things about that era, and there were good things about it. Same thing with Stephen Moffat's era.
Of course,
but I'm hoping that
I'm
hoping that Chibnall looks back and says, "Okay, I see what's good here. I see what's good here. Let's see what we can do to bring that forward and embrace the best of what made Doctor Who great, which goes into character development. And there's a lot of differences in these characters. With Ryan and his thing he's got going on, and Fake Grandad. I think that, like you said, there's going to be a lot of opportunities for these characters to grow. I think you're going to see things like Yasmin, be too angsty, and she's going to try to. I know it all and I'm going to do it, and she's going to screw things up, and then she's going to learn from it, and she's going to grow, and you're going to see Ryan conquer his thing, and Granddad is going to I think they'll grow together too. I think it's gonna be a good season
I
overall. I
think
think that
I can I think I can see Fake Granddad becoming. I know it sounds silly, but turning from fake granddad to real granddad, that kind
yeah.
of taking charge and owning that place in Ryan's life. I could see that happening. I mean, I could be jumping the gun a little bit and maybe giving Chibnall a bit more credit, but we'll see. That's
First impression.
the beauty
that's
of
my
it.
first impression. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So what about? Yeah, what about the episode in general? What were your thoughts on the episode overall?
See, now this is where they could have made. This is where I think that mistakes were made. Okay, the writing for the episode, in my opinion, was good. I think the original scripts before it hit the chopping block were better. I think that the characters might have been fleshed out a lot more. I think that some of the interactions would have been a lot more heartfelt had they not been so rushed. I think that this might have been a script that was written for an hour and a half, maybe a movie length script.
I'm just going to quickly interrupt you there and just say that there will be spoilers ahead, guys, if you haven't seen the episode, because there are thoughts that we have here, particularly about this episode and like in general parts. So just to give you a bit of a thing ahead that we are going to be going into spoiler territory. Okay, sorry, carry on.
Yep, no problem. What was I saying? I forgot what I was saying.
You were talking about sort of characters being fleshed out, and then you said, sort of things happening that were very quick.
Yes, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So I think this episode suffered from time constraints. I don't think the BBC gave the episode enough airtime, and I don't want to place the direction. I don't want to place the error strictly on the director, but that's his job to make sure what's presented is good. I guess he did what he could with the time he had, and the editing team did what they could, but I felt like parts of it that should have been more impactful, Ryan losing his grandmother, you know what I mean? Fake granddad losing his wife, you know what I mean? There was a lot more things that it could have felt a lot more. I could have been like a lot more, you know what I mean? And it was kind of like rushed. I was like, did that just happen? Is this really happening?
It was very quick, wasn't it? Yeah, it was like, I'm going to go and do this.
Sorry, exactly. The most touching thing about this episode, I think, was the funeral speech, man. I was like, there's a lot of depth in there. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, because I've only seen the episode one time right now, I believe he went back and talked to the doctor after the funeral, and he was talking about how he had cancer and he's in remission and stuff.
Yes.
Again, more character development. You know what I mean? Those are.
I thought that was a very poignant sort of like, part there. Sorry to jump. I'm just going to quickly sort of say this and then I'll let you carry on.
No problem.
But that sort of screamed, like I said, further character development in the essence that he met her in a lowest part or a very low part in his life where he felt he was going to die. So essentially, she was his savior. So he essentially, I suppose you could say, probably worshipped the ground she walked on. So it would make sense that he would take a back step in this episode, in these moments where he's very much like, there's no such thing as aliens. Oh no, don't, like even the little bit in the train when she kisses him. He's like, not in front of the guy, sort of thing. She's like, he can't take his hands off me and all that. He's very confident, and he was very like, no, don't, and let her take charge. And it makes sense as soon as he mentioned that. It makes so much sense. Right. Yeah, I hadn't thought about that. But that's a good point. Yeah. That's a good point. But yeah, my final verdict on it was it could have been better had it had a little bit more screen time or been a two-parter, but it was a great first episode. When you compare it with other first episodes, let's think about David Tennant, who slept through the first episode pretty much. He was pretty much passed out. I mean, hey, it is what it is. So it wasn't a bad starter episode. But what about the what did you think about the alien? The weakest part of the episode by miles. It it was just there. I liked the whole Tim Shaw thing. I thought it was
funny.
silly.
Oh, it was great.
But
it's funny.
And I did sort of mention this previously before, but the villain was actually credited as Tim Shaw in the credits, which I thought was hilarious. I'm not sure how many people spotted that, but that was really funny. The general concept of the character, so this predator-esque hunter, could have worked. It could have worked. The whole teeth thing didn't scream too much for me because it was very much a product of PG TV. We want someone who can take trophies. You can't take an ear, you can't take a toe, you can't take a finger, you can't take an eyeball. What are we going to do? Oh, you can just take a tooth. That's not too bad. A dentist can do that. When he had them all on his face and stuff, I was like, oh, okay, but it... Do you know what, actually, so I'm going to quickly sort of veer off slightly. Do you know what I think ruined it for me? It was the idea of two aliens at war using Earth as a battleground screamed so much better for me than, the electric eel ball is its companion helping him to find something without, cheating, basically. Him cheating to become... I think that was probably it, more for me. It, thinking about it.
It just felt very cookie cutter to me. It felt very kind of like,
It was there because it had to be.
Right, and I get it. There was no time to really put any real detail into this alien, maybe.
Yes.
This was an introductory episode. You got to get your characters out there, da-da-da-da-da. But, I hope they don't bring this thing back. I'm not interested in seeing any more about Alien versus Predator. I just, I want to get back.
No, there's no... I know that he got away, so they may do something with that, but I don't think he's going to appear again. I don't see the need for him to appear again. It doesn't make any sense unless there's like a revenge thing somewhere. But if it is to happen, I can imagine it'll be in future series, like future season, maybe not this season.
If they do that, I hope they flesh that out a little bit better and go a little bit more original somewhere. I just didn't feel very original.
Like an army, like a rebel army or something. Maybe, him going back without his prize meant that he had to fight another way, and he got a group of followers together, and that something like that even could work quite well, I think.
Right.
I don't know. But it was... I think the general consensus for both of us is that the villain was a bit meh, if anything. It wasn't all that. One thing I wanted to quickly mention that I didn't previously with regards to the episode. What did you think of the cliffhanger?
Cliffhanger? Oh, yeah.
With them.
Yeah.
I loved it. I thought that was such an excellent end to the episode.
Coming back. Yeah, it was good. It was good. I like that panic, like, okay, what's up?
It was when she did you notice though that when she first appeared in space, she didn't look overly that worried. It was when she turned around and saw the other three was with her, she was like, oh god, what have I done, sort of thing.
Right.
Absolutely loved it. It was perfect. Do you know what the funny thing is I had a feeling something was going to go wrong. When she teleported, I knew they were all going to teleport. I knew that was going to happen. As much as because she kept saying, "I'll miss you," that I was like, "They're all going to teleport." It's obvious. I knew that was coming. But for them to appear in space, I genuinely went, "Oh!" I was like, "Oh my god!" What do you think the direction of the series is going to be, or what are your thoughts on the future of the series? Have you got high hopes, or?
Okay, when it comes to Doctor Who, I've always got high hopes. I love this show. Mm-hmm. I don't want anything bad to happen to this show. This is one of my favorite shows ever. I don't know at this point. I have, based on the way the episode to me felt a little rushed with the editing and some of the past stuff I've seen from Chibnall, like Dinosaurs on a Spaceship and The Power of Three. I'm a little worried. But then again, I think about it, and he did write Torchwood. So I like Torchwood. So I don't know.
No, wait. Did he work? Did he work on Torchwood? Did he? I thought it was.
I'm pretty sure he was the lead writer.
Because T. Davis did. T. Davis did. Yeah, T. Davis worked on it, didn't he? He was. I didn't know Chibnall worked on it as well.
I'm gonna double check that. How about that?
Yeah, I would say double check on that. I know he worked. He obviously he wrote Broadchurch, didn't he? He might have had an input in Torchwood. Thinking about
we can query the TARDIS and see what episodes did. Okay, type.
He might have worked on one of the later ones of them.
He wrote 7 episodes. 2006 to 2008. So he wrote.
It would have been early Torchwood.
Yeah, early Torchwood.
That was like season. That would have been seasons 1 and 2, series 1 and 2 probably. Which was, it was good. I liked it. Some people didn't, but I liked it.
And you know what? Shame on me. Cool. I've never finished Broadchurch. So I don't know how good his writing was on Broadchurch.
I don't know why you're saying shame on me. I've never watched it before, so I've never seen any of it. So I started
watching it because I wanted to see what Jodie was doing, and I played a little role in that.
I've heard it's good, but I've heard it's very, it's got one long story arc, sort of pretty much all the way through the season. So
right.
But then again, the funny thing is if that's the selling point of Broadchurch, Chibnall's already said that there's no story arc for this season of Doctor Who.
And that's what worries me. That's what worries me. I'm one of the people, and I know a lot of I call pure Whovians that love that overarching storyline when it's done right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm not a villain of the week. I don't like when shows go villain of the week. Like, look at Star Trek Deep Space Nine, man. It was villain of the week for 4 seasons. And then when did it really take off? Season 4, when it stopped being villain of the week and it started being, hey, we got these long arcs and backstories. And people love that stuff, man. They don't like the villain of the week crap. So, having I hope this is not going to be a villain of the week type thing.
I see what you mean. But you've got to remember with things like Star Trek, villain of the week makes the stories limited, whereas with Doctor Who you're not limited because it's all of time and space. So villain of the week can be many things. Villain of the week could be Dalek such and such, and then the next week it can be a sort of a supermassive black hole that's conflicting with some like starship, and then the Doctor has to try and solve it to save the people, the crew, and then you've got that, and then you've got sort of virus on planet such and such that's causing people to turn into these things, and the Doctor needs to help save them. So villain of the week is not doesn't damn Doctor Who. And obviously it worked in Classic Who as well, didn't it? There wasn't really arcs in Classic Who, so
there were just it's just those moments that really sold me on Doctor Who was like Turn Left, where everything meant something, man. You're digging back into time and you see all of the impact one character had, and everything meant something. You know what I mean? Everything that happened, you were kind of paying attention. You're like, oh God, what did I miss? Bad Wolf. You know what I mean? These things that you see going on, everything ties together, and that's.
But even even with Bad Wolf,
that's one of my favorite things about Doctor Who.
Yeah, but even with, like I said, even with Bad Wolf, that wasn't necessarily a strict story arc. It was there. It was things that were put in the background and then made into a story later on. They could do that. Arcs are like the Impossible Astronaut or whatever. That's a big story arc. That's a big sort of messing with your head.
I don't know if I mentioned it on this podcast. I don't think I did, because we've actually done this podcast like 7 times now. So if you're seeing this, congratulations. The fan base, Doctor Who, for some reason, season 6 was, I thought, it wasn't the strongest thing ever. It wasn't. I thought season 5 was strong. Season 6 was decent. And then we rolled into season 7, and it was just a cluster because the fans couldn't handle the complicated story arcs. No. Who couldn't handle the complicated story arcs? There wasn't one person that I know that watched Doctor Who as a fan. The real people who keep the show going. not the casual viewer. There wasn't one person that said, well, I didn't get that. Nobody said that. Everybody understood what was going on. But the Beebs came down and was like, hey, Mr. Moffat, you probably need to dumb the stories down a little bit. And I think Moffat threw his hands in the air and was like, hey, okay, fine. We're going to do standalone things. And when I hear season 11 is going to be standalone episodes, I get worried because I think of the Power of Three. I think of things like that, which are the unforgettable episodes. What was this? Wild West episode?
Yeah, okay, but then I can counteract that. What about Blink? That is a standalone episode that is probably one of the pinnacle of Doctor Who writing. Granted, it's not Chibnall, it's Moffat, but that is absolutely phenomenal. And then look at sort of like, I know that obviously it has characters that are later on, but what's the library episode? I think it was a two-part episode.
Silence of the Library.
Silence of the Library. Once again, a very, it did have some repercussions and arc in there, but it was still a very phenomenal story in itself. I could think of quite a few. Even in Eccleston's era, the End of the Earth, with Cassandra, that for me was a great story, a single story, and that I remember seeing the lead up to, because I watched the first episode of New Who on release day. I was really looking forward to it. It's really weird. I'd always been an indirect Doctor Who fan when I was a kid, even though I'd not really seen a lot of Doctor Who. I'd maybe seen like 2 episodes. But the idea of Doctor Who when it was coming out again, I got excited for it. And I remember seeing the sort of the next time after the first episode and seeing that big sun and the earth and welcome to the end of the world. I just remember that
the end of the earth.
Oh my god, this is amazing, and
that's the way I felt about it too.
I'm not as worried as you are. Yeah.
In that regard, you're right. I'm not totally knocking. I don't want to totally come across as knocking standalone episodes, but I hope that it isn't a future trend because the arcs are fun too. It's fun picking out things like that. Of course,
yeah. I mean, I think what would be best is, for Chibnall maybe in the future, is to say, I want standalone episodes, but we could have an ever so slight arc that could maybe lead into something. Like Bad Wolf, have little bits in the background, and then lead into
things like that
the last episode.
Like, oh my god, that is so cool. They're talking about something that happened in the past, that it means something. You know what I mean? Like,
exactly. Even if you bring something back up again, even if you bring something back up that happened in sort of like the first episode.
I'm big on arcs. You work on Dr. Stu with me. You know what I mean? I'm crazy about arcs. Arcs are super important.
We've got so much. Well, we've got so much planned. So it may have taken 5 years for the second chapter, but I can honestly tell you guys, it's going to be a good ride. It really is.
And we're just getting started. Hopefully we can get the ball rolling on that. But yeah, it's coming. I'm just going to have to run myself into the ground to get it done, but we'll get there.
Well, we're working on ways to get it faster. So we'll get there. We'll get there.
So, I think that about covers it, right?
It does, yeah. Yeah, I think we've covered everything we wanted to talk about. So
sorry.
Yeah.
Technical difficulties. Anyway, I said, Al, technical difficulties. Don't worry about it. Anyway, okay. So, we hope you like this episode. We're going to try to do these once a week. Weather permitting. I do have a hurricane barreling down on me right now. So if I survive the hurricane, I'll be back next week. If not, there'll be somebody else in my place. Or, Ash can just take the TARDIS. Sorry. Ash can just take the TARDIS and come pick me up.
I was going to say, those kinds of things are not normally a problem when you've got a TARDIS, so it's fine. I'm sure all will be well. I mean, if worse comes to worse, and like being sort of, serious now, guys, and essentially, if Jason does have some problems with the hurricane, we could probably find a way of doing the format, but in maybe a slightly different manner, but we'll figure something out. But guys, let us know what you think. Leave a comment down below. Sort of, a like would always be nice as well. But yeah, just maybe give us your thoughts on the episode. you know, it'd be nice to see what other people think. You know, we obviously we get these sort of...
Yeah, I need to. I haven't read anything. I've been out of town. You know, I'm waiting to read what people are thinking about it. So I want to know what everybody thinks about the new episode. I want what people think about Jodie Whittaker. What you guys think about this podcast setup, what you guys think we could do to improve this as well. And anything you guys want to say. If you don't like my beard, don't comment about it, because I don't care. I really don't care. But everything else, it's cool. Go ahead. Yeah, you're good.
Yeah, that's it. Like I said, you know, let us know what you thought of the episode. Let us know what you think of Jodie, the companions, you know, anything really. You know, discussions will be good because it's stuff that we could potentially bring up in our future episodes as well. So thanks for watching, guys. I'm Ash, and this is Jason, and this has been Stu's Views, and we'll see you next week.
Don't forget to subscribe to the official
Dr. Stu
YouTube channel.